Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. In this video, we will learn about the another important hook, that is useReducer. So what is the importance of this useReducer and why we use this useReducer? Let's try to see. So useReducer, what I want to tell you is it's a reactive hook. It's a React hook that is used for managing the complex state logic in functional components. So what can I say is it is an alternative to the use state. So when you want to manage the complex state logic, so for example, let's say that notepad, I will try to open the notepad and I will explain you so that it will be easy for us. Notepad plus plus, where is this one? Notepad plus plus gone in my system. I don't know where is it. Oh, plus plus, I don't know. So let's open this notepad only. Now here, for example, let's say that we are talking about the useReducer. So this one is used, it is an alternative. So it is an alternative to the React use state. So this is an alternative to the what I can say is use state. So now what I can say is when we need to use the use state or when we need to use the useReducer is, so it is used to manage the complex state logic. So if you are having a complex state logic like object and all those things, if you are using multiple things in functional components, then we can use this useReducer instead of use state. Hook and is particularly useful when you need to handle state that has multiple sub values or when the next state is dependent on the previous one. Sub values means like object values like this if you are having, and when you want to know that the next state depends on the previous one means, then we can use this useReducer. So useReducer normally we will be using in conjunction with the context API to manage the global state or within the individual component to simplify the state management. So right now we will see in the individual components how to simplify the state management. Let's try to see with a simple example. So here what I will try to do is I will create a new project, new application. So npx create React app. So we will start developing the application. Afterwards, while developing the big next apps, we will try to develop using the white. So now here I am using this one. So create React app only. So let's try to develop Counter Example. So counter means I am developing a simple counter example. So in order to understand how the useReducer works and how we can alternatively use instead of this use state hook, we'll try to see in this video. So let's install this one. Let it install. So the application has been created. Let's go to the Counter Reducer, and I will open this one in the Visual Studio Code. Let us open, and by the time what I will try to do is, so here we will do npm install. So it will take some time to do to install all the packages. So let it install these packages also. So done, this Counter Reducer is also done. The npm install is also completed. So I think I have opened here in our project. So let's start the server also, npm start. So you people know already about this one. It's a simple thing. So here we are having the source. I don't want to repeat this all the code. So what I will try to do is, let's go to the app.js and I will remove this entire code. So just we will design a simple counter thing. So first with state we will try to do is, and the same thing we will try to convert it into a useReducer. So export function, and we can write it something like export default function app, and this is our code, and here we need to return div, and I will do hello world. So just I want to see the output, how it will look like. And here we have completed this one, and let's go to, nothing is there in this one. So app and index.js, so everything we are using it, not a problem, and I think it will work. So it is running. So let it run. So here we have mentioned wrong, export default, I think. Yeah, so we have did it. Now error also has been gone. I think it is running, still it is running. Let it run. So here we are able to see the hello world. Fine. Now let's try to write the code. So here what I want to do is, so just I will try to take class name is equal to container. Okay. And here I want to show the simple thing, counter. Let's try to have a counter here. So I will have a separate component for this one. So I will create here counter.js, export default function counter. Okay, and we'll try to do the same thing, and here also we will write return div counter. Okay, I will use it like this only. and let's go to here and let's import this counter thing. So it should be imported, right? Fine, that's it. Now let's try to see the output. So if you try to see the output for this one, so here counter we are able to say it. Let's make it center. So here we are having the container, right? We'll be having index.css. Let's try to write the index. I want to make it simple. Dot container, and here I will be having what I can say is width is around 60%, and I want to make it as a margin of 4 rem comma auto. That's it. I want to make it simple, so I don't want to take too much. So it came to the center. Now I will have a simple input box in this one. So here I can have a div. Okay, I can have one div, and in this div counter, and here we'll be having another div which I will try to have one input box. Okay, so which we'll try to make it as a simple thing. So we are able to see one input box, and here in another div I will be having 3 buttons like button. So it is an increment, and I will be having another one, and I will be having something like reset. Okay, so these are the 3 buttons which I will be having, and here I will do ampersand nbsp and ampersand nbsp. So I am adding a gap for this one. So this is the overall which I want to try to explain you. Okay, so this is a counter. Now when I try to place enter, minus and reset, so it should be done as usual. Now what I will try to do here, so let's try to have a state variable. So here we'll be having constant count comma set count is equal to use state of 0. So this is the count I am having. This is a state variable, and here I will try to use the value is equal to I will try to set it for this one. So we need to maintain a control component, right? So here I will try to use on change is equal to update count. I will use something like update count, and here I will be having something like function update count of e, and here set count I will try to use it, and plus e dot target dot value. So that is the thing, right? So I am converting into a number. So that's it. So now we have converted into an like this. Now another one what I want to do is, so here we will be having is on click is equal to inc. So that is nothing but an increment, and here I can do on click is decrement, and this one is an reset. So decrement, and this one is a reset. So these are the 3 functions which we will be having, and here also I will try to maintain function inc. So in this one what we need to do, so set count, so we need to update the count. We will get the count is equal to c plus 1. Okay, and we will be having the same thing function dec, that is decrement, so by 1 value, and here you will be having the set count of c minus 1. So last one is the function reset. So here what I can do, set count of 0. That's it. I want to reset it to 0, last initial value, that is nothing but 0. So that's it. So this is the simple thing, right guys? So we have implemented the counter thing. If you try to see the output, so now if I try to see the inspect element, and if you see the console, and if you try to see here, so plus increment everything is working fine, minus is working fine, reset is working fine. If I try to update the value, it is also updating, and if you see in the components also the counter app, so we are having a state 23, and here if I try to update, so it is updating it to 2, plus it is also incrementing, and reset it is doing everything it is doing. So the same thing if I want to implement this one, so we can also use with the concept of reducer also. So how we can implement this one using the reducer, we'll try to see in the next video. So what I will try to do is, this is a simple thing, counter. So whatever the videos you are trying to follow, if you understand, so we can able to understand, you can able to understand this code, everything. It's a simple thing. In the next video we will try to convert the same example with the help of using the useReducer hook instead of useState hook. So this one is video-83. I will commit this code. Okay, so counter useState. So I will commit this entire code. So here maybe having doubts or anything, if you want to refer the code, so this one is the video link, the GitHub repository link is provided in the description below, so you can refer the code for the further reference. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. So in the previous video, we have implemented the counter example using the use state, which we have learned, which we know about the hooks, right? So we know about the use state hook. Using that use state hook, we have implemented the counter. Now it's time for us to use the alternative solution for this one, that is useReducer. So in both the ways you can do it. You can do it using the use state, or otherwise you can do it using the useReducer also. But useReducer is a React hook, I told you, right? To manage the complex state logic if you want to maintain in the functional components, you can use this useReducer hook. So it will maintain something like it is useful to handle the state that has multiple sub values. So that is the main thing. So what is the syntax of this one? So the basic syntax of this one is, so for example, the same thing if you want to convert here. So here you will be having the basic syntax is, or otherwise what I will try to do is I will create a new variable, new file, that is counter reducer. So this is the another component which I will try to implement the same counter using the reducer. And here I will do export default function app, I will do it, okay. And here we will implement the same concept. I will do the return here div, and here we will be having one div, and I will have one counter, okay. And here we can have one div. This is simple thing, we will try to implement it very fast. So here also we have one div, and I will have one button. The same thing I will try to do minus, and another one is the reset. So these are the buttons we are having it, right? So the same code, instead of copying it, I am directly writing. Why? Because so it has some methods inside this one. So this is our same thing, simple thing. And in our app.js, instead of having this one, I will do counter reducer, okay. So counter reducer, why it is not coming? Export default function, oh, counter reducer. So we need to have counter reducer, and let's import this counter reducer here also. That's it. Now if you see the output for this one, so the same output you will get it, but nothing will be executed, right? So now we need to implement this one using the useReducer. So the basic syntax of this useReducer is, so here you will be having something like constant. So you will have the state. So here you will be having another one dispatch. We will discuss about this one. So we need to use useReducer, okay. So useReducer should be imported from the React, and here you will be having 3 arguments. Normally it has 3 arguments. One is the reducer, which is a function. We will discuss about this one. And the and another one is an argument, or otherwise the initial value, so which we can make it as a 0, and that is an initial value. And another one is an initialization thing, which is a lazy load function, which we want, we can do it. And here the state represents the current state value. So here you can think of state as a count. So right now we have only single value, so we can think that state as a count. The dispatch is a function that is used to dispatch actions that trigger the state updates. Whenever the state updates happen, so in order to trigger the state updates, dispatch function is useful. The reducer, so here we are using the reducer, right? So this reducer, this function is responsible for specifying how the state should be updated based on the dispatched action. So based on the dispatched actions, so how the state should be updated and all those things, so this reducer function will decide. So this is a pure function actually. And initial argument is the nothing but the initial argument means initial state. What is the initial state? So we need to implement. So if you try to observe, if you are having knowledge about the Redux concept and all those things, this useReducer hook is similar in functionality to Redux reducers, but it is more lightweight and designed for local component state. It provides a way to encapsulate the logic for updating state and makes it easier to manage the complex state transformations. So let's try to see with in this one. So we have this right. So this is a reducer, is a simple function, okay. So we will have here function reducer, okay. So this is our reducer, and this has two what I can say is, so this takes the 2 arguments, state and an action, okay. So let's try to console the state and action. Console.log of state, and I will try to do console.log of action, okay. So now if you try to see here, this is our button, and on click, okay, I will try to do on click is equal to, I will call this increment. Now when I am calling this increment function, so okay, let's initialize this one function inc, and here what we can do, function inc is there, and here we need to call the dispatch. Okay, so we need to call the dispatch function. So the dispatch, so we need to send the value. So what we need to increment, so we need to increment with 1. Okay, let's try to send the 1. So now if you try to see the output for this one, so let's see the output for this one. Let's go into here, and here inc is not defined. Oh, we have defined this inc, right? Function inc is there. Let's see the output again. Yeah, now it's working fine. So now when I click on this plus, so let's go to the console. When I click on this plus, so you'll be able to see that 0 is the current state and 1 is the value which we are trying to send it to the dispatch thing. Okay, fine. So what we will try to do here, we will return the state plus action. So when you are returning the value here in the reducer function, so whatever the return value you are trying to send it, so this becomes the updated state. So the initial value is the 0 at the first time. So when you have modified it, then the state will become 1. So let's see the output, and here also I will try to do console thing, and here we will return the state plus action. Okay, now let's see the output for this one. So if you try to see the output for this one, so first time the state value is 0. So if you try to see here, the state value is 0, and the action we are trying to send the value in the dispatch, the argument is 1. So fine, and next time when you click on plus, so this time the state value is 1, and here the dispatch value we are again sending it as 1 only. This time the state value will become 2, but the value which we are trying to send is always 1 only. Why? Because we are sending the argument is 1. So that means whatever the argument we are trying to send it here, so that is nothing but an action. The state means nothing but whatever the return value is there, it will be the updated state. So it depends on the previous state. So fine, so everything we are able to understand. So now let's try to implement onClick. OnClick is equal to decrement. So here we will try to implement function of decrement. So how we can do it? So here we need to implement the dispatch, and the logic here, it should not be plus, it should be an subtraction. So we need to do the minus. So how we can do it? So instead of sending the 1 and all those things, so normally we will send in the reducer an object. First we will try to tell the type of the action, which is what is the type of the action, that is nothing but increment, and the value or the payload, so which you want to increment is 1. Okay, and here we will try to do the type, which is a decrement, and this could be an object. The type should be an decrement, and the payload should be 1. So these many times it should be decremented. Now here we know that it will return. So here you can write in such a way that if action dot type is equal to inc, then we will return the state plus action dot payload. Okay, and if it is action dot type is equal to decrement, then we will return the state minus action dot payload. Okay, so like this we will try to do it. Now if you see the output for this one, so here if you try to see the output for this one, so nothing is there, right? So let's try to see in the components. Okay, in the counter reducer, so you'll be able to see as a hook, this is a reducer, and if I am incrementing, so it is incrementing the value by 1. So here if I am decrementing, it is decrementing the value. So reducer is incrementing and decrementing, it's working fine. Let's try to implement it for the reset also. OnClick is equal to, or otherwise let's try to show it here. So here the value is equal to count. We'll try to show the value in this one. Okay, so that we will be able to understand it very easily. So the count this time it is showing is 3, minus if I am trying to do, it is incrementing and decrementing. Now the same thing what I will try to do is onClick I will implement, and here I will use the reset. So the function reset we will be using. So here I will try to use the reset, and I will do the dispatch, the same thing. So the type will be reset here, and the payload will be payload, nothing will be there. Okay, so payload, if you want you can also do it. So we know the reset, right? So now what I can do here, if action dot type is equal to reset is there, then we will return 0. That's it, right? So here also there is no need to send the payload. We know that increment means we need to increment or decrement only by one value. So we can remove this one, and I can do instead of this one 1 and also -1 also we can do it. That's it. So now if you try to see the output for this one, counter is incrementing by 4, and if I try to decrease, counter is decrementing. If I click on the reset, so it is reset to 0. So it is also working fine. Now whenever I want to change the value here, so the value is not changing in the input box. So if you want to change the value in the input box, so then what I want to do here, on change is equal to set count. I will use the set count, or otherwise update count. Okay, and this update count, we will have a function update count, and here you will be getting the target, and here we will be using the dispatch, and here type set count. So we will be using the identifiers. So this is called as an identifier, and the payload, this time we need to have a payload, that is nothing but plus target.value, right? Now the same thing, set count, we will try to write it here in this one, the same thing. If it is an reset count means, then we need to return action.payload. So in this way we will be writing the reducer function. Now if you go and if you try to implement the same thing, so here if I write 23, so the reducer will be 23. If I increment it, so reducer will increment. If I decrement it, it will decrement, reset. The same thing we are able to achieve using the state, and also the same thing we are able to achieve using the reducer also. So this is how we will be implementing the reducer. In some places you will be able to see that instead of having this all the ifs like this, so they will use a simple switch statement. Okay, so they will use the switch statement, and they will take the action dot type. Okay, and here in this one, so they will do something like case. If it is an inc, then what they will try to write, so here they will return the state plus 1. Okay, or otherwise if it is in, so I will try to comment out case decrement is there means, then they will return state -1, and here I will use the case reset is there means, then they will return 0, and the last one is case set count is there means. So this one is the common approach which we will be using in the pure functions, in the reducer functions. We will return action.payload. That's it. Now I can comment out this entire code. That's completed. Now the same code will work without any problem. If you try to see, if I refresh this page, so if I increment it, then also it will work. If I decrement it, then also works. Reset also works, and everything works as usual. But this time we have implemented using the reducer thing. So this is how we will be implementing the reducer. So what I will try to do is, I will commit this code in a new branch, that is video-84. So here the counter useReducer. So we have implemented with counter useReducer. So hope you understood about this useReducer hook. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, as usual, so please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel leelawebdev. So in the previous video, we have learned about the useReducer hook, how it is useful as an alternative for the state property. We have seen it, right? Sorry, for the state hook we have seen it, right? But here we have seen with a simple example. Now I want to make it little more complex, where the useReducer hook will be very much useful. As I already told you, right? So useReducer hook we will be using it as an alternative for the useState hook when the state is complex. So when you are trying to manage a complex state data, so then it is better for us to use the useReducer hook than the useState. So for example, let's say that I will try to extend this example only. For example, let's say that we are having one div, okay, and here I will be having a step counter, okay, and this step you will be having one select. So I will have one div here, and here I will be having one select drop down, and in this drop down I will be having option 1, okay, and the same scenario 2, 3, 4. So I will be having 2, and also 3 and also 4. So this is a step counter which I will be having, and if you try to see here, we are having a step. So for example, let's say that when I am trying to increment this value, it is incrementing by one step, it is incrementing. For example, if I try to keep the 4, so this should be 10, so that means 4 steps it needs to increment. So if I click on the plus, it should not be 7, 6 plus 4 it should be 10. So like that we need to do it. So how we can implement this type of scenario in this thing? So normally using the state, you will be having another state hook that is nothing but a step count, and you will try to do it. But whereas in this useReducer, so we can implement in a simple way. So how we can implement is, for example, let's say that we will try to take the initial state. So there is nothing but a state only. So how you will be trying to take? So this time I will keep this one as an object. So first one is the count, which is 0, and another one is the step which is default by 1. So now instead of passing this as 0, so previously we used to have only single value, that is nothing but the counter. So we passed 0 directly. But this time we have two state variables, state data, that is nothing but one is a step and also another one is the counter. So that is the reason I have stored it one object, and I am sending this one as an initial state here. That's it. So now we have framed the initial state. Now let's say we are having this select box. Okay. So now let's say that we are having this value. This time it will become state dot step, not only count. So this one will become state dot count, and here also that's it. So where is this state coming is? So now instead of having this count, I will change it to state. Why? Because it's a combination of both count and the step. So that is the reason I am saving this variable as a state. I am changing this one as a state. So that is the reason I am using state dot step and also state dot count. So everything is done. Now what I want to do is, so value is equal to state dot step, and here on change. So when this one is changed, so I want to set the step. Okay. So here you will be having a function. So that is nothing but set step, and this one will be a dispatch function. So automatically you people know about this one, dispatch, and here I will be having type is equal to set step or anything, whatever the property you will be having, and the payload we need to send is the event. You will be getting the event here, and here I will be sending e.target.value. That's it. Now the logic which we need to implement here is will be completely changed. I will try to show you. So now this time what we'll be having, so here we'll be having a state and also the action. So we need to return something. So that is the reason. So what I will try to do, I will try to return the state itself. Okay. So let's see the output, how it will behave. Let's go to the console, inspect element, and here console, you provided a form on change handler. This will render as a read only. So let's try to refresh this page. Now this time there will be no error. Now if I click on the plus here, so here you will be able to see the state has been changed to count and the step, right? So this time the state is nothing but the initial state, so which is this one. Fine, right? It's correct. So we are getting count and step, and now we are getting a value that is nothing but the type is increment. So we need, based on this one, we need to increment the state. So here let's say that we are using the switch only, right? So let's try to use the switch for this one. So that is nothing but action dot type. So we will be taking action dot type previously, which we have seen it. So this is our switch statement, and in this switch statement, so first one is the case inc. So for this case, what I need to do, I need to return the state variable, state data. So what is the state data? So this is a combination of an object which is having count and step. So that means the same state data we need to pass it like that only. So that means I need to return the object which consists of count and also, so let's say 0, and also step 1. So here you will be having the increment, right? So that means I need to take the state dot count plus 1, state dot count plus 1, and here you will be having the step. So like this we need to send it. So here we are having the case and we are sending it like this. So let's try to have it like this. So now what we are trying to send here, so we have sent it like this. So now what it is happening here, so tomorrow if you are having more than one values, means we cannot frame it like this, right? So what can we do is, so instead of having it like this, I can do state here like this, right? So I am doing the object and we are trying to do it. So here the spelling mistake, switch. Okay. So now I am taking the state and count state plus count state.count plus 1. So now if you try to see the output for this one, if I increment here, see it got incremented. So that is how we will be trying to do it. So now the increment has been successfully done. So let's try to implement the decrement also. Decrement, the same thing. So here you will be having the same thing. So I can return the state and this time it will be having -1. So the same thing if you want to have, let's reset, update count. So set count. So let's try to have case set count. Set count. So here we need to take this state, okay, and the count this time will be action.payload, right? So action.payload. So whatever the data we are trying to send it, so we will be doing it like this. And the last one is the set count is completed, and another one is the set step. So the same thing, let's try to take the case set step, and this time you will be having this one, take enter thing, and this time you will be having the step which should be action.payload. So it should be action.payload. And the last one is nothing but the reset. So we are having a reset, so which means we need to set it to the initial values, so default values. So case reset. So one thing what we can do is, so we can directly return step count 0 and also step 1. That's it. So this is how you will be implementing the reducer. Now if you try to see the output for this one, so let's refresh this page, and I am doing the +1. It is incrementing by single value. Step one step it is incrementing, and reset is also doing. Now for example, if I increment it by 4, so that means plus means, so it should increment by step 4 times it needs to increment, but this time it is incrementing only by 1. So what is happening here? So when you do the increment also, we are doing with the 1 only, but here this should not follow the 1. It should be dynamic and it should follow with the step. So here what I can do, instead of having this one state dot step, and in the same scenario here also I can do state dot step. That's it. Now let's try to see the output for this one. Now if I try to increment the value, it is incrementing, and if I reset, it is resetting. Now I will try to set it to 4 and I will increment it. So see, this time it is incrementing by 4 values. All the time it is incrementing by the 4 values. If I do it to 2, now this time it is incrementing by 2 values. If I reset it, so step and the counter is both are getting reset, and everything is working fine as expected. So this is how we will be implementing the reducer if you are having the complex state. So this is within the component. So with across the components also we can use it, this useReducer thing, which we will try to use it in our next upcoming videos. Just I want to show you the simple demonstration how the useReducer works and how it is useful in our React application when you are having a complex state data. So what we have did it, so here the simple thing we have did it, and now what I can say is, so this is the same thing we are trying to use it, right? So if you want, you can also copy this one and you can paste it at the top here. You can paste it at the top here, and you can use this initial state in both the places. So here you can return the initial state, and here also you can use this initial state. So this also works fine without any problem. So this is how we will be implementing the useReducer. So these are the scenarios where the useReducer comes into handy instead of using the useState hook. So hope you understood about this one. So what I will try to do is I will commit this code in our new branch. So video-85. Okay. So this is our useReducer hook. Okay. That's it guys about this one. So I completed these things. So if you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.